Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the inventory tutorial series and episode 2 of the shop system. So we've got our shop system here. You can see that we've got this kind of pop-up window that's going to be our shop. And you can see that it's going to be able to have buy and sell tabs. So this is going to show either the shop inventory or the player inventory. We're going to add things to this window here, which is the shopping cart, and then we'll be able to buy the items or sell our items. That'll be coming in the next video. In this video, we're just going to be working on laying all this out, getting it all set up, making a few scripts and just, laying the groundwork to actually plug in the UI to the shop system we made in the previous video. And you can see currently if we hit play, we can walk over to our NPCs which we've made and we can interact with them and it'll bring up the window. That's what we're going to get to in this video. It's not the most exciting thing, but it's a necessary step on the way to displaying our shops. So let's just jump straight into it. Okay, so let's get started. So let's go on our canvas here and I'm going to make a new empty. I'm going to call this the shop UI controller. And to this, I'm going to make a panel. So right click UI and I'm going to put in the graphic that I've been using for the other inventory stuff. Panel, it's not there. What's it called? So with that panel, I'm just going to make it a kind of brownie color. You can put any sort of graphics in here that you want. So I'll make it this color here. And I'm going to get the panel and let's go into sort of 2D UI mode because we're going to be doing a lot of UI stuff. Let's zoom out and we can make this panel nice and big. You can make it fill the screen if you want the shop to kind of fill up the whole screen. But I'm just going to make it like this. So it'll pop up like this. And then I'm going to make a new empty. I'm just going to call this window left because we're going to split our shop window into two sections. And I'm also going to make a empty, say window to our panel object. We're going to add in a horizontal layout group, and we're going to let this control the child size, and we're going to say the child alignment is going to be the upper center. Now if we go over to our window left, you can see that the box is now half of the panel that we've made, and the other box is on the other half of the panel that we've made. So to our window left object, I'm going to create two UI buttons. And if you've got all of these weird lines up, you can remove visualize. I'm just going to bring this up here. Let's make it a bit bigger. And this will be the buy tab. So we'll click this and it'll show us the items that we can buy from the shop. And then we can click, we're going to make a sell button, which will show us the items in our inventory and allow us to sell them to the shop. So we've got our buy button. Let's rename this just so we know exactly what it is. Buy button. And then we'll Control D, duplicate. This will be the sell button. Move this over and then swap this text to say sell. And then underneath our buttons, we're going to make a UI scroll view. I'm just going to drag this just above the buttons in the hierarchy, and we're going to select stretch to fill the whole canvas, but then we'll just bring it down to not kind of overlap the tabs. I don't want the horizontal bar on our scroll rect, so I'm just going to uncheck horizontal, and we can remove the horizontal scroll bar. We'll just select none. Then under scroll view, we can just delete the horizontal scroll bar. And then if we go to the vertical scroll bar, we can just drag that out so it fits our entire panel. Then I'm going to twirl out that, and I'm just going to rename this content object to item list, just so we know kind of, I'm going to rename this to item scroll list, just so we know if we're just looking at this, that this is the scroll list. And then we need to just make this a bit bigger, just below the scroll bar. And you can see, depending on how big this is, that's kind of responsible for how much we can scroll. So we'll have to change and tweak this probably as we go, but for now that's fine. And then over on the right hand side, so let's just close that. So on the right hand side, I'm going to make a another empty. We're going to call this item preview, and can make this fill this side of the screen, take it all the way to the top, and to our item preview, we're going to add a sprite. So UI image, and we'll call this the item sprite. And let's just drop in a sprite just so we can see how this is all looking. So we'll do our bottle, we'll do preserve aspect, and let's just make this a little bit bigger. We're going to add some text. So we can say UI Text Mesh Pro, bring this down. We'll auto size it. We'll align it horizontally and vertically. And here we'll just say health potion. Again, just so we can lay this all out. This will be all changed through code anyway. And then we'll rename this to item name. And let's just duplicate it. We'll move it down. This time I'm going to make this a little bit bigger there. And I'm going to left align it and top align it and say this is the description. And we'll make the max size just a little bit smaller. And then we'll rename the object to item description. And then we're going to make another object. We'll right click, create empty, and this is going to be the shopping cart. So this is going to have another scroll view. So we'll right click UI scroll view, and then let's drag this down. So we'll position that kind of down here. Again, we'll make it fill the this half of the canvas, so we'll just drag that out. And like before, we don't want a horizontal one, so we can get rid of the horizontal bar, the vertical scroll bar fill the actual frame, and it says missing. Let's just select none on there. Got our scroll list here, and then again, let's rename the content panel just so we know exactly what this is. So this is going to be the ping cart list, and then to our shopping cart item, let's create a button. So we'll say UI button Text Mesh Pro, and this will be the buy sell button, and we'll just drag this down here just under our shopping cart. Let's make it a bit bigger. We'll go to our text and we'll say buy items. So we're going to make some more text. So we're going to right click shopping cart, UI, text Mesh Pro. Let's bring this down here. We can make it a bit bigger, kind of to here. And I'm going to center and right align this. And I'm just going to put in total 5,000 gold. That's how much our shopping cart. This is going to display how much our shopping cart is worth. So we can rename this object to basket total. And then I'm going to duplicate this and let's move it up. And this is going to be shop gold. So this is how much gold the shop has access to. So let's say 1,000. And I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. So this is the shop gold. And then let's duplicate this again. Move it over. We need to left align this. Rename it to player gold. Oh, what's going on? Rename this to player gold. And then in the text, we can say player gold and we'll say 500G. So this is how our shop's going to look, and it's going to have items kind of added to it into this scroll view here. And let's get a look for what that's going to look like. So if we go up to our window left scroll view, let's go to our item scroll list and let's create an empty and we can call this shop item list UI. So to this, we're going to add in a item sprite. So we'll say UI image. Let's call this item sprite. And again, just for simplicity, let's put our item in it. And I'm going to make this the size of our panel here. So we've got our item sprite. We're going to add some text to this. So we'll say UI Text Mesh Pro. Left align it. I'm going to center it though. And we'll say health potion out to about there. We can position this kind of where we want it. This is going to be item name. We'll duplicate this, move it down. This will be the item amount. So this is going to be how many of the item the shop has. So we'll say it's got 5 potions. And I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller than the text and the name of the text. And then I'm going to add 2 more buttons to this. And then that should hopefully be most of the UI done. We'll just need to start the kind of code side of it. So let's do button Text Mesh Pro. I'm going to say add to cart button. I'm going to make this square. And for the text, I'm just going to put a plus symbol. Make this a bit bigger. So this is going to be to add it to the cart. We can drag that over. And then let's duplicate this, move it over. We'll call this the remove from cart button, and instead of a plus it can be a minus, and then you may want to move it up so it's sort of center in the button. There's our shop item list UI, and to get this working correctly into a list, we just need to add a grid layout group to the item scroll list. So we'll say grid layout group, and we'll say upper left instead of constraint, we'll say fixed column count, and there's just going to be one column. Pivot on our shop item. Okay, so you can see it's gone off kind of kilter here. We need to set the items to be pivoted to the top left corner. So unfortunately, we're going to have to relay these out. We'll select all of our items. We'll click onto the anchor preset. So we'll hold down Alt and then click the top left corner one. And then let's just reset our layout here. Okay, so we've adjusted them, got our item scroll list, and then we can start to put in some padding. We'll do 32 on each of the grid layout group, which again is on the item scroll list object. And let's just these just to see how these are going to lay out. So now we can adjust the sort of spacing and the cell size. So if you want a bit more of a gap between them, you can say like 64. 32 kind of works. Cell size shouldn't matter too much because we're kind of controlling that all through the sort of position of this shop list item UI. So you can see that these are looking quite good. We can duplicate them, and because it's in a scroll box, it'll go kind of below the sort of scroll view, and we'll be able to scroll down kind of in the game. I'm actually going to delete all these, go to our prefabs, and I'm going to drag in this shop item list UI, and I'm going to make a prefab out of it. And then we're going to delete it from our view. And I'm going to go over to the shop UI controller, which is the kind of top level object. And this is going to be what sort of pops up when we access a shop. So it'll bring up the shop and we can close the shop. So this is the sort of top level object. And to this, I'm going to add a script. I'm going to go to my UI scripts folder. I'm going to right click, create C# script, and we'll call this the shopkeeper lay. Let's open this up in our editor, and let's get started adding some variables to this. Okay, so we're going to need to start making fields for all the kind of UI elements that we've just made. So I'm going to make a serialized field private, and this is going to be shop slot UI, which is going to be another script that we put onto that shop slot that we've just made. So I'll say shop slot prefab, and then let's actually make that. So in our UI scripts folder, let's create another script. We'll call this the shop slot UI. So this is the thing that we just made with the buttons to add and remove to the cart. We're going to need another one for, we're going to have to do something quite similar for the shopping cart section, but we'll get to that kind of later on. We want a serialized field for a private button, and this is the buy tab. We'll need a one for the sell tab. And you can see this is red here because we need to import type using Unity Engine UI. We need to make sure we've got that to kind of access the button. I'm going to make a header here. I'm going to call this the shopping cart. This will be the shopping cart section. I'm going to do serialized field private mesh pro UGUI basket total text. I'm going to duplicate this a couple of times. We're going to have the player gold text as well as the shop gold text. Gonna have another button reference, so serialized field private button, and this is the buy button on the shopping cart. And then we want a serialized field private text mesh pro UGUI, and this is the buy button text. So this is going to change to say either buy or sell depending which sort of tab we're in. And I'm going to make a new header. We'll say item preview action. We'll do serialized field private image, and we'll do the item preview sprite. Serialized field private text mesh pro UGUI, and this is the item preview name. And we can copy this, and this is the item preview description. And we need a serialized field private game object, and this is going to be our game object item list content panel, and we'll duplicate this, and this will be our shopping panel. So let's go back to Unity. We'll go to our shop UI controller, and to this we can add our shopkeeper display, and we need to hook all of these up. So the shop slot prefab, that was the prefab that we just made. So if I go over to prefabs, shop slot shop item list UI. To that we need to add the shop slot UI script that we've made. That doesn't do anything yet, but that's fine. We can drag in our shop slot UI. For the tabs, we'll do buy tab and sell tab, basket total, gold, shop gold, and the buy sell button, the buy sell button text, item preview. So we've got item sprite, which can go down there, item name, item description, and then we've got our item list content panel, which is this item scroll list. And then we've got the shopping cart panel, which is under scroll view, scroll bar view, viewport, and we've got our shopping cart list. So that's our UI set up there. I'm just going to press save. So let's make the other prefab, which is going to be the thing that we populate the shopping cart with. So all this is going to be, let's go to our shopping cart list. So that's this content panel here. I'm going to right click, create empty, and let's call this shopping cart item, and to that I'm just going to add some UI text for Text Mesh Pro, and we'll put in item name times 10. We'll stretch that to fill kind of the available space it has. For our shopping cart item, I'm going to again anchor it to the top left. Let's make our item kind of fill the content panel here. We will just going to make this a bit smaller and just give it a little bit of padding. And then on our shopping cart content panel, we need to do what we did earlier. So we need to make a grid layout group on this. Fixed column count, again, is 1. We'll give it some padding, so 32. Spacing, we'll do 32. So let's anchor that to the sort of center left, actually. And let's center it out on there. Drag that in a bit. So this is our shopping cart item. See, as we've duplicated them, they've gone off the panel. We need to reduce the Y on the cell size. About there. I'm going to reduce the padding on the top as well. Padding on the left a bit. There we go. So we can add multiple items to our basket now. So let's delete them, make a prefab out of our shopping cart item, delete it from the list. Let's make a new script then called C# script shopping cart item UI. Let's add that to the shopping cart item prefab that we've just made. We'll jump back over to our shopkeeper display script, and we're going to do serialized field private shopping cart item UI. We'll do shopping cart item prefab, and we can hook that up in the inspector as well. So let's go back to our shop UI controller, drag in our shopping cart item UI. Okay, so let's actually just get this displaying, and I think that'd be a good place to end the video because it's gone on for quite a little bit. So let's go over to our project, and I'm going to open up our shopkeeper script, and we can see here that we've got the iInteractable interface on it. So when we interact, we can ask the UI manager to display the shop system. So in our interact function, we can just let's make a Unity event. So we'll do public static Unity action, and this is going to pass to the shop panel. It's going to pass the shop system to our shop system. It's going to pass that in, and it's also going to pass in a player inventory. Do we not have? And it's going to pass in the player inventory holder, and this is just going to be called on shop window requested. So in our interact, we need to get the player inventory component. So I'm going to say player var player inv is equal to interactor component player inventory holder, and then if our player inv variable is not equal to null, then we've got the player inventory successfully. We can say on shop window requested, and we can invoke that by passing in our shop system as well as the player inventory. We can end the interaction for now, and then we'll do interact successful is equal to true. And actually, let's get rid of that. We don't need the end interaction function in there. And then we can say else interact successful was equal to false, and then let's just debug.log error player inventory not found. Okay, so back in Unity, on our main canvas object, I'm going to add a kind of top level UI controller. So right click, create C# script UI controller, and then let's add the UI controller to our UI canvas, and let's open that up. So in here, on the on enable function, we're going to subscribe to shopkeeper.onShop window requested, and let's do display shop window, which is planing because that's not a thing. So let's implement that. So we've got a method that takes in a shop system and a player inventory. Let's rename this to shop system and player inventory. And then in on disable, let's unsubscribe. So on shop window requested, let's unsubscribe the display shop window function. Let's take in a serialized field, private shopkeeper display, and we'll say shop display. Let's call it shopkeeper display. Yeah. So the first thing, all we're going to do for now is we're going to open up that panel. So shopkeeper display dot set active dot game object, sorry, dot set active to true, and then in awake, let's make sure the shopkeeper display is closed. So game object dot set active false. So back in Unity, shop UI controller goes into there. So if we go over to our NPCs, we need to add them to the interactable layer. So let's just choose interactable, and we'll just say no, this object only. We don't want to set the capsules as interactable. And let's add capsule colliders to the actual top level NPCs and remove them from the capsule graphics. So if we hit play, that should work. Go over here, we can hit E, and that's going to bring up our shop system window. So that's going to be it for this video. In the next video, we're going to work on looping through the shop system and the player inventory and displaying them accordingly in this panel here. And then when we click the buttons on those shop UI panels, we'll add them to the cart and we'll allow the player to actually buy the item by clicking the buy item button. Obviously, all of this will update and work very nicely. If you'd like the project files for this video and this entire series so far, they are available on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Dampos. I'd just like to take a minute to thank all of my patrons. On screen now, we can see the 10,000 XP tier, which is a sector sweep. And I want to thank all of the 4,000 XP tier members as well. If you need any help with this video or any of my other videos, feel free to leave a comment below or head over to the Discord server, which is linked in the description. And in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.